Hey guys, in this video I wanted to show you how I wrote the music for the Come Away trailer. So here we go, this is my project. So actually this was a track called Weightless Destiny from one of Elephant Music's albums, and obviously it got pitched and the supervisor, the editors liked it, they asked for stems, and then they asked for some custom amends, which is actually quite common in trailer music, which is when they basically say, we like it, it's nearly there, but can you add or remove or change something? In this case, it was adding in some back-end drums. Now, I had a go at this, and also a composer called Aaron had a go at this. So he worked on this at the same time as me, and it was actually the edit that Aaron worked on. So the track you hear on the trailer is a mix of my cue and Aaron's drums, because that's what they wanted. They wanted bigger back-end drums. So here we go. Let me just walk you through the process. The brief for this stuff was modern family adventure, kind of modern family films. So it's not your typical kind of swashbuckling strings or bright uplifting piano. It was more synth led. It was more organic. Organic's not necessarily the right word, but organic synths, analog. That they've kind of got this sort of wobbly sound. So this is actually quite an unusual track, and the fact that it got placed on the entire trailer was huge for us. So really chuffed with this. So it's nice for me to show you my work in progress. Now, I want to kind of put a caveat to what I'm about to show you, and that is that I basically wrote two ideas, and that's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. So let's dive in. Here we go. Here's my project. Now, what you can see is a bit of a mess, but what you can see is I've got lots of CS80s. Now, these synths, this is the Arturia CS80. Here it is. What a beast. I don't know what half of this stuff does, so, I'm a big fan of presets. So I wrote this chord sequence. Let's just hear this in situ. This is the chord sequence I wrote. And there you go. Now, those of you with keen eyes will notice that there is a lot of copying and pasting going on. And that's what I did. I took that idea and copied and pasted it into the next section. And it's just a case of using layers. So if we hear this, that's all copying and pasting the same chord sequence, just adding in layers and textures to kind of make it feel like it's developing. It's actually not, but it is. And that's a classic trick we can learn from film composers, and that is economical writing. You don't have to come up with new material all the time. You can just reappropriate the same material. So let's have a listen to the extra bits that I added in that weren't necessarily new ideas. That's all it is. It's just a loop of moving woodwinds doing arpeggios that stay over the top of the chord sequence. So if we go from the start of the cue, here we go. This is Act 1. And then you go into the second half of Act 1, or what you might call Act 2, depending on how it's used. Okay, what do you notice? You notice that I've taken the same chord sequence and double timed it and just increased the velocities and upped the pitch. Same material. It's just being economical with your writing. That's my act 2, basically, this bit here. And then we drop down into this. The drop into act 3. What do you notice? It's the same as act 2, but there's more layers. More layers. I think I only even wrote one idea for this cue. Then here we go, the second half of act 3. More layers. That's all it is. But it's got the right feeling to it. Arpeggios all over the place. It's such a good tool, the arpeggiator, because you can give your chords movement so easily. And when they have them doing multiple things, all of a sudden the movement kind of molds into this kind of pulsating thing. And that is it. And then the ending. That's the cue. That's it. I just chose a nice chord sequence with some decent sounds on the CS80. Notice that on most of the instances I have the decapitator, Soundtoys decapitator, because I wanted it to have that kind of crunchy, gritty vibe. So if we listen to this one here without the decapitator. It's a lot cleaner, but for me it's not as interesting. And the thing was with this was the chord sequence sparked me. I felt inspired by that chord sequence, and that single chord sequence was the whole cue. The whole cue. And actually when I submitted the demo for this, I basically just submitted the first chord sequence. I think I submitted the first minute, just being like, what do you think of this? And Vic at Elephant was just like, huge, finish it. Because if you can get the right mood from the very beginning, then you can carry that to the very end. There's no tricks here. This is actually a relatively small set. I've got a lot of drums going on, but I don't think I even needed that many. And it's carried by the weight of everything else. So what are your takeaways here? The first and most important thing is be economical with your writing. Don't think that you have to come up with tons of new ideas, tons of patterns. Load up an arpeggiator, Let that do the arpeggios for you. You don't have to always come up with new, interesting, unique patterns, unique chord sequences. Just come up with something that you like the sound of. And then find layers. So that's it. Find a sound you like and then create layers with other sounds doing the same thing. And then you create this wonderfully rich and diverse sound. And I think that's what captured the super well, I presume. I haven't spoken to them. But when you watch this with the Come Away trailer, you go, okay, this has that magical otherworldly feel. So there we go, guys. Find yourself a decent chord sequence and see if you can turn that into an entire trailer cue just by being economical with your writing.